Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking to, you should be a parent of a current sixth grader or a seventh grader, and we're going to be talking about the planning process, scheduling classes, electives that are available, and then of course, answering any questions that you have about your child transitioning into the next grade, because of course, next year is going to be here before we know it. My name is Valerie Morris. I'm the Public Information Officer for Snyder ISD. And then we have Mr. Rush. He's the principal at Snyder Junior High. So thank you for coming, Mr. Rush. Okay, hi, Ms. Faulkenberry. Ms. Faulkenberry is our counselor at the junior high, so I'm glad she could join us as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask questions, and then Mr. Rush, Ms. Faulkenberry, and then Coach Wood will be jumping on to answer those. So we'll start off as far as what's coming up, and that's going to be choosing electives, making schedules. So can you tell me a little bit about how and when students will choose their electives for next year, and will parents be able to review their child's selections before they submit them?
So yes, students will be able to, or parents will get to review those child selections because we do want them to be involved in that process and have input. But Ms. Faulkenberry and myself will be starting to go through all the WIN classes next Monday and Tuesday for the 6th grade and 7th grade, and go over what our elective options are going to be for them at this point in time right now. We will send the form home with them. They will get to go home, take the time to discuss it with their parent, and then we're asking them to have the form turned back into their WIN teacher no later than that Thursday on the 7th. So they'll get it on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll want it back on Thursday.
Yes.
And the great thing is, y'all will be at campus all next week. So if you have questions, please call up to the junior high. You can send a parent square. You can call, email Ms. Faulkenberry or Mr. Rush, and they'll be glad to answer those questions for you, because some of these electives weren't available to 6th graders or last year. So there'll be some new electives that you might want to learn a little bit more about. And we'll go into that in just a little bit as well. What if a child is unsure which elective they want to take, or what if they change their mind?
So one of the things we're really trying to do is more align ourselves with our electives, especially towards 7th and 8th grade, to go into those P-TECH pathways at the high school. So really, students, we know that there's going to be changes. We know that not everyone's going to be perfect, but we're asking them with your parent to make a decision as to now with their top 3 choices, so that we can do the best that we can to get them placed where they would want to be. However, we know things happen over the summer. We know that minds change. We do allow the first week, because of the state law about being in class 90% of the time, to do some schedule changes. However, please go through those, make good choices now as best that we can, because schedules are hard once they get set. We have class size limits. We have scheduling places where throughout the day that certain courses are offered, but they're not offered other times of the day. And we really need that time to get those set as much as possible. So if your child comes to us and they've made their top 3 choices and they're going, man, I didn't get my first one, I know that was probably a scheduling issue. So it's not that we're not trying to get them what they want, but they will get assigned somewhere. And then also with that, it really makes it even more challenging if they're coming back to us during that first week of school, because other students are already there. So really, let's try to do our best to make the best decision we can for them as we move forward. And then we will do our best to adjust if it is at all possible.
And with some of those scheduling challenges that you might have, it might be that if your child is doing athletics and that's first or last period, and perhaps they want to do an elective, maybe it's the healthcare elective, and I'm just saying this, I don't know that when this will be scheduled, so don't let this sway your decision at all, but let's say it's only has room in their first period class, so there might be a conflict to where they're not able to do both, so they have to make a choice. Is that kind of what you're saying with the conflict, Mr. Rush?
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay. So the other thing to remember as a parent is that first week of school, make sure that you're asking your child, how are the classes going? Is there any adjustments that we need to make? Stay on top of that, and don't wait for them to come to you. I know I had one child of my own kids that was just a little hesitant, a little shy to go ask for the form. They didn't know where to go in the office to ask for it. So make sure that you help prod them along if they're wanting to make a change, to do so.
And those
So
change forms are left in the front office. There are extra copies there. I have copies as well. So, and our 7th and 8th graders coming to us next year, they know, they're familiar with that process, but that's where they are in case they ask.
okay. And as far as the scheduling and a typical day, that'll be pretty much consistent with how it is going this year, correct? Y'all are going to do classes, not a block schedule or anything, but where they go to all their classes every day again?
Yes, as of right now, we are definitely looking at that 8-period day. So they'll be moving multiple times throughout the day, and being prepared for what's coming next.
Okay. All right. So can you tell me a little bit about communication? And hopefully our parents feel comfortable using Parent Square and communicating with their child's teachers. But we do have some parents that are new to the district, or perhaps they were having trouble with their account, or had not gotten on before. So can you tell me about how junior high teachers communicate with their parents? What are their options if they're struggling in school? What can they do?
So communication is an important piece that we do stay in contact with each other. If you need help with Parent Square, probably reach out to Valerie and not myself. Sorry, I'm going over on that one. But our teachers utilize a lot of Parent Square to keep you up to date with what's going on a regular basis with inside of their class. They can also be reached by email or phone, or just mail if we have to communicate back and forth. But if kids are struggling in your class, really that first process, reach out to that teacher. Look at their Schoology, go to their Skyward, look at what their grades are, and reach out to that teacher and make contact with them. We do ask that you give those teachers at least 24 hours to respond before reaching out to the administration. If they're not connecting with you and you're not getting answers, then yes, please definitely reach out to the administration. But most of our teachers, they can get back to you within 24 hours and kind of help guide you along on the process.
And I'd like to add to that, if a parent has a preference in the way they want to be contacted, if they would just communicate that with a teacher immediately up front, it will make it a lot easier.
Absolutely. One other question that I have is about the cell phone policy at school. Most of us are probably familiar with that, but we might not be. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So we really want our students to be engaged with inside their classrooms. So therefore, cell phones are not allowed while on campus. But by that, we mean it must be turned off and in their backpack. They are allowed to use it during lunch. So they do have the time before school they can be on the phone. They do have the time during lunch normally that they can be on that phone. And then of course they can have it after school. But we definitely ask for it to be in the backpack, not seen, not heard during the school day. That way we can do our best to communicate with them on what they need educationally.
Okay, thank you for that clarification on that as well. And let's see here. Let's talk about STAR, because we're coming up on STAR. Now, the questions that I have are about STAR tests for next year, but I certainly don't want you to miss out on an opportunity to talk about the testing for this year, and then let us know what test 7th and 8th graders will be taking.
Yeah, so STAR test is just around the corner for us this year. It's going to get started in May. Our 7th graders now take only 2 tests. STAR has changed a little bit on us. So we're taking 2 tests in 7th grade. We're taking ELAR, which is English Language Arts. The writing part has been combined into that one test. So it's a lot there. And then we have the math test. 8th grade, students get 4 tests. They get 1 in each of their 4 core subjects. So there's a lot going on that. Now, when students don't end up struggling with one, we do have MTSS or RTI type classes to help encourage them along. Typically, those take place of an elective. So we want to do our best with inside of those so that we can have all the other electives open to us.
That's right. And that's something too with the MAP testing that we do as well. If we notice a student is struggling in one area, there are many opportunities for those students to catch up. Is that correct, Mr. Rush?
Yes. And so we also have chances to catch up via before school tutoring, after school tutoring as well. So,
So if you're concerned about how your child is doing, number one, reach out via Parent Square or call the school, and then find out what opportunities. If you're not aware of the opportunities, I assure you they exist, and we'll be glad to get the teacher to let you know what opportunities there are to help your child if they're struggling academically, for sure. As far as electives, that's kind of a good transition into discussing those. How many electives are available to students in their 7th grade year? And then how many electives are available in 8th grade?
Well, there's several different ones, and I'm going to go try to pull up that onto my computer again right now.
7th graders have 2 electives available, and then 8th graders will also have 2 electives available.
Okay.
Or
And now,
I'm sorry, 8th grade has the potential of having 3 electives. If they have completed their PE and athletics requirement, then that opens a spot for them to have a 3rd elective.
so there are 2 years of PE, physical education, that are required. And in 7th grade, if they're participating in athletics, then that athletics elective qualifies for a PE credit, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So when you get these forms home, you'll see all the list of electives that are there that your child can choose from. And if we have some time, we can go over some of those as well. If you have questions during the week when you're looking it over and you're not quite sure what something is, feel free to reach out and we'll be glad to explain that for sure. But one of the electives that 7th graders and 8th graders will have the privilege of participating in is athletics. And we have Coach Wood on with us. He's the athletic director for Snyder ISD. He's also the head football coach and for the high school. And he's going to answer some questions about athletics and sports opportunities, because it's an exciting time for our incoming 7th graders as well. And we want to give them an opportunity to participate in a different type of education and learning experience through sports. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what sports are available to 7th and 8th graders? Because it's a little different than high school, but we still have a pretty good amount of sports that kids can participate in.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So as far as athletic electives, sports that the kids are going to be offered at the junior high level, obviously they're still going to have, in the boys side, they'll have football, basketball, and track. And then girls side, they're going to have the volleyball, basketball, and track. And then those are kind of like the 3 sports where you will be kind of in the same mixture of group of kids that are kind of working out together all year long. And then we also offer golf to our junior high kids and tennis to our junior high kids. But those groups, they'll kind of be with a different group of kids because they're going to be at different locations practicing different things, at different times. We also offer cross country, although we don't always have we don't always put forth the full team. Just kind of depends on the interest with how many kids are interested in running cross country. But we don't do the sports that we do not do that we do at the high school are like soccer, powerlifting, baseball, and softball. I think those are all.
Okay, so what about for kids that maybe haven't played sports before but want to try it? Is that something they can do? Do they try out for a team? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want as much involvement, excitement about sports and the possibility of a future in playing in any of those sports as possible. So you're never going to be discouraged from your kid giving it a shot. And so we encourage everybody that has any type of interest to go ahead and try it out. Now, we do have like a quote unquote PE class for the junior high kids that we kind of use almost like as a pre-athletics period where we're kind of prepping them and kind of gearing towards which kids are going to be interested in what. This morning, Coach McQuirk, he's kind of putting together a cool little document kind of going through some of those sixth graders, and he's quizzed those kids and asked what their interests are. And so we kind of have a better idea. It's not like we're getting these seventh graders that are going to be competing for the first time out of nowhere, which is awesome. But yeah, if they want to give it a shot, they can. Now, obviously, at the junior high level, we're going to try our best to get every kid playing time in almost every single game. But obviously, the amount of playing time is obviously going to vary depending on, a lot of different things. Sometimes the biggest thing is whether or not they're eligible or not. Are they passing their classes? Are they doing things right? Are they staying out of trouble? And so a lot of times, if they're doing the right things there, then they'll end up being some of the kids that get more playing time just because of availability. So the best ability is eligibility. So anyways, that's kind of our kind of general mindset. Yes, for some of the sports where we have fewer players, football, you can have lots of numbers, but with only 5 basketball kids on a team, or at least on the court, sometimes they may have those trials and cut those numbers down, but shoot, give it a shot and we'll see what happens from there.
Absolutely. You never know where it'll take you. I know even at the high school level, I've seen some kids that have never played a sport and they're getting some college offers now, right?
Shoot.
You never know.
I think our starting quarterback this year, had our best football season in over a decade. That kid was a beat. Yeah, we've got success stories and all sorts of things that can transpire for those kids if they'll just, keep after it, show a little bit of interest and initiative.
Absolutely. And a lot of that comes from parents at home too. And I think that's something as well as encouraging your kid to stick with it, encouraging them to stay on top of their grades. We always try to refer to our athletes as student athletes, and student comes first because, like you said, if their grades aren't up and if they aren't behaving in class, then they're not going to get to play. And that can be a huge motivator for some kids that might be struggling academically or with behavior. If they want to play the sport they love, then they're going to have to stay on top of everything. So we ask for your support in that as parents as well, to help keep those kids on track and encourage them to stick with it, even if they're on the B team or, but you never know what will happen, because especially at junior high, kids mature at different rates. And that sometimes can be discouraging to the kids, but your encouragement definitely helps. Okay, so what if they decide, they start off and they're trying a sport that maybe they've played 4 years ago or something like that, and they decide that sport isn't for them in the middle of the season or maybe at the end of the year. What would you say to that, Coach Wood?
Well, that's a situation we don't really have just a broad brush for. That's a situation where I get with Mr. Rush or whoever, and we communicate with the administration over there and the coaches, and we kind of go case by case. It's a kind of a situation where there's not just a one size fits all answer. If it's a kid that, he doesn't really like the sport, or he tried it out, but he realized real quick, listen, this is not for me. But they communicate with the coach the right way, and the parents. We discuss things, and it's like, okay, well, they still want to stay in athletics, and we're gonna just use them kind of as in a manager's role. Or, okay, that's fine. That kid wants to play the next sport, then we'll send that kid to the off season for that. Those are the situations we like to deal with. The best case situations, best case scenario, if a kid's trying something and it doesn't necessarily work out. Obviously, if there's a disciplinary issue, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to make this, so I just stop coming. I'm showing up late. Obviously, if there's disrespect issues or character issues, or, causing problems or not getting along with kids or anything like that, then obviously we'll handle it like any other disciplinary situation. We'll communicate with the administration over there, and there might be a transition into another period. They may get their schedule changed to where they're being moved in a different direction, and timing's a kind of a big deal. We don't necessarily like to change a kid's schedule if at all possible dead center of the semester, because you're kind of in no man's land there for a while, and it kind of messes with their credit stuff, and you have to do some different shuffling. But if a kid's almost at the end of the semester and they wouldn't need to move out, it's a lot easier to change their schedule at semester. And so sometimes we'll wait till that time to transition out. It happens at the very beginning. You're 3 weeks in, it's like, this kid's not going to cut it. They don't want to work. There's disrespect issues, coachability issues. Then we'll get those kids moved out, because obviously we don't want to, we don't want kids who don't want to be there to be there. So.
Right. And in athletics, and being a part of a team is definitely, it's a privilege. And you're held to a higher standard as far as that goes, which can be a great thing for kids. So
Absolutely. Yes.
One of the things is multiple sports or multiple activities. I had a question come in: can a student take choir and athletics? And I think you could look at that a lot of different ways as well. Can they do, let's say, football and basketball? So how do those things work together with other extracurriculars and other sports?
Go ahead, Mr. Rush.
I would say, I think we're on the same. We do want them participating in as many things as they possibly can. And if in the school day there is a conflict with inside that schedule, that becomes a challenge where they may have to pick one or the other. However, most of our activities also do have after school time. So like theater is probably one of those that sometimes is going to interfere with athletics during scheduling time, but we also offer that experience after school so the kids can make the adjustment with the parents, and then they come to the after school part of it. We do everything we can so that they can take all of them, because we don't know what they're going to excel in. And if they excel well in both places, that's awesome. That's great. Let's go for it. Let's keep on moving forward. If I miss something on that, Coach, jump back in. But
no, I totally agree. Again, not one size fits all there, but we want to look at each kid's different situation. Got kids right now doing, Valerie will know about this, got kids doing golf and football, so they need the off-season lifting and all that, but we'll just work things out depending on the different kid, and make things work. We try to be flexible. And then, there's times when it's like, man, that's just a scheduling conflict. That's first period, and that's first period, and they're going to have to pick which one they want to go to. And then they can meet with the other and see if there's any opportunities for them to still attend before or after school in order to still be a part. We just try to do the best we can. All these answers, they may kind of seem a little bit like cookie cutter answers, but we really do try to be flexible in order to allow our kids the best chances to be successful in as many things as they want to do. We're big encouragers for multi-sport athletes, multi different groups, any extracurriculars we're big advocates for. And then I saw a question pop up about girls playing football. Yeah, we've had girls play football in the past. Now, obviously, like a locker room situation, those kids are housed in different locker rooms with their equipment and stuff, and then getting out. So we have to be flexible and adjust. Not that it's undoable, and also not that it's like always super easy, but it's definitely something that we've done, and it's definitely something that we're not opposed to. As they get into high school, just generally speaking, most of the time you see those kids that would like to do that, oftentimes kind of transition out of that sport or whatever on their own. But that's not something that we force. My first year here, we were going to accommodate and adapt in order to allow a girl that had played football in junior high to still be able to play here. But that transition just happened. You see that a lot of times in those types of situations. But yes, we're open to giving it a shot and trying to accommodate there.
So with inside there, Coach, also I see a couple more questions about like, is there only room for, if there's only room for 2 electives, how many sports can they participate in? Well, fortunately for us, most of our sports don't overlap. So that means you can be in all of them. We encourage you to try the multiple sports. We have very few that overlap seasons, and we do work with tennis and golf to move you in and out of those because those happen during those athletic periods. And since they do meet in a different place, then we make that adjustment. But yeah, we encourage you to try everything and find where you can excel.
Absolutely. The last little chat question that I saw pop up is I got a 6th grader interested in wanting to play a sport, which is awesome. Great. Love that. But UIL rules doesn't allow a 6th grader to participate in like a 7th or 8th grade sport. It's not like, it's not like they start their eligibility to compete in UIL sports in 7th grade. And in the high school, yes, you can move a kid up from a freshman team or JV team to the varsity. But in the junior high level, a 7th grader is going to play 7th grade sports, and 8th grader is going to play 8th grade sports. And if a 6th grader is wanting to play, that's awesome, great. But they're going to have to play some sort of either Shining Stars or, travel ball or something of that nature.
Absolutely. And that's a question that I've received a lot as well. And something to say too, just as a parent, I have a kid at junior high and high school as well as intermediate, but in seeing as far as the opportunities that are available in high school as well, I see kids doing everything from football to FFA to theater, all, during the same year. And so that encouragement to participate does not end in junior high. It is really about being well-rounded and trying different things and all of that. So I appreciate that as a parent, but I also wanted you to know that as parents as well. So, keep encouraging your kids to try out different things because you never know what they will like.
And so Valerie, there's another question that just popped up about baseball in junior high. Mm-hmm. Baseball. Y'all, I'm going to date myself. Baseball has not been offered in junior high since I've been around, which will be back in the 70s sometime. Baseball is not something that starts in UIL until you get to high school.
Yes, correct. Yeah, you'll hardly see anybody playing UIL, which is, playing a sport for the school. I don't know if you'll see any public school playing 7th and 8th grade, but you'll see, the minor leagues, the little leagues, the whatever, the travel ball. I know that we have good numbers in our little league baseball league. And so they are actually, they've revamped and they are now doing that 6th, 7th, 8th grade group of baseball in Snyder again this year. And shoot, I've been over there a few times. That thing, all those fields are always packed over there. So it seems like there's a lot of involvement, a lot of excitement for all the baseball levels all the way down through.
And then the question just came in about cheerleading. So junior high, we do not have cheerleading. We are in discussions with a couple of people about working on a plan to, at the very least, try to bring back a pep squad for next year at this time. But as far as the typical what you would think is cheerleading, we do not have that at the junior high at this current time.
Okay, and let's talk, I know we're, as far as time goes, stay on as long as you can. As we have questions come in, we'll stay here and answer as long as we possibly can as well. So one of the questions that we often get is about summer workouts with athletics. And is it just for athletics? What are the requirements to participate in summer workouts? How does that work, Coach Wood?
Awesome. Sounds good. So in order to just participate in athletics, and some of you parents that are already doing this, 8th graders and above, you'll know about this, but we have to have the legal documentation in order to be allowed to let them participate. So in other words, we have to have a physical on file because we don't want those kids, we require that they have to have a physical. And then on top of that, we have some different arbiter forms or legal forms that the kids fill out online. So you take care of all that, then you're going to be able to compete in your sports if you're a 7th grader or above. Well, for summer workout, that's a little bit different. That is a volunteer, that is a volunteer workout. And so, yes, strength and conditioning in the summer is allowed to everybody. But we are not liable for your kid if they come to summer workouts. So in other words, you can come participate in summer workouts without a physical, because you are sending your kid, knowingly or not, you're sending your kid without us being liable, because it's a volunteer workout. The school district's not liable for anything there. It's not like we ever do anything that we're not normally doing. In fact, it's usually a little bit less. We're trying to work out the kids hard and everything, but it's not quite as intense. But we allow everybody. There's girls strength and conditioning and boys strength and conditioning. Based upon whether or not we're going through a pandemic or not, kind of varies on how we have to handle that situation. But that information sent out. Our communication app is called Sports U. And so as your kid gets into 7th grade, or if you already have kids competing, you already know about this. It's just a lot like Parent Square, how you're constantly communicating with your teachers. Sports U is kind of the avenue that we use in order to communicate with all of our teams. It's just kind of, it's the Facebook of sports for us, so that we can make sure that the parents and players all know what's going on. And as that information comes available for the sports, we send that out. Our traditional basic schedule in the summer is we'll lift Monday through Thursday. We skip Fridays to give them a 3-day weekend every week during, get a little time away from us. If they got to go on vacation, great. We just, especially at the high school level, we want them to come to summer workouts. So if they're going on vacation, that's fine. There's, it's not mandatory. And so we just tell them, hey, communicate with us. I'll be gone these 2 weeks going to Arizona with grandma, whatever. And then we always take off that week of 4th of July. So it gives the coaches and the coaches' families all that time off in case they want to do something, and it gives the kids a little break from us midsummer.
Yes, and one of the questions that came on is we'll send that out on Parent Square as well. We also typically post it on our website too. If you haven't been on snyderisd.net/athletics, all those forms that Coach Wood was talking about, and there'll be more information that comes out about all of this. This is not just your one shot at hearing this. We will definitely communicate more as the time draws near, as far as what forms are necessary, when the physical window opens, as far as getting the sports physical, because they typically offer a deal through Cogdell if you want to get it locally, or through your own physician that you might have out of town, and you can submit those forms, and we'll give all of that information. But we do have links to that on the Snyder ISD Athletics website. And we will also post the summer workout schedules when those become available too.
Yes, ma'am.
Have y'all seen any other questions come through that I'm missing? My chat disappeared for a bit.
I saw one up at the beginning, which I missed, about other options for RTI other than losing an elective, and will the parent be involved with inside of that? Parent will be involved with inside of that decision. Really, we do our best to not take away something a student wants to do, but if we have to do it at another time, typically that is outside the school day. So the parent definitely gets involved in that conversation, because we need your help of assuring they're going to be in those tutorials so that we can help them be successful. I think that's the only one I saw.
Okay. And one of the questions, yes, that will be posted through Parent Square. I just always like to let you know too that we house that information on the Snyder ISD website for athletics as well, in case sometimes when we're sending a lot of messages, some people say, oh, I couldn't find it. So we always try to make sure that it's in multiple places as well, so you can find that. But we will definitely send that information out. And just to make sure that one person asked, they're not required. The summer workouts are not required if somebody is gone for the summer or something. We certainly understand that. But they can also jump in at any time, right, Coach Wood? So if they're gone for most of the summer and they come back 2 weeks before school starts or 3 weeks before school starts, they could jump in. Oh, Coach, you're muted.
Sorry. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So if they are here the first 2 weeks and then they get shipped up and they go stay with grandma or dad or mom or whatever, and they're gone all summer, then yeah, so they can be there whenever. It's definitely not mandatory. But if you're here, we want you to come work out. That's kind of our push. If you're in town, we want you to be here. We want you to come work out. Come get a quick workout in the morning and continue your day. And then obviously, as you start trickling and trending more towards high school and varsity level competition, yeah, I got kid A who is kid A and kid B who are the exact same athlete, and they provide the same amount of skill. Kid A was here every day during the summer and constantly in communication, and haven't heard from kid B, and he shows up day one. Obviously those kind of decisions obviously have a little bit of weight to them. They say the weight room's for everybody, but not for everybody, but neither is playing time, right? So
that's right. Definitely showing effort makes a difference. Let's see here. Okay, we got a question about vaccines. And just so y'all know, this is kind of a little different topic. It applies to everybody, but the vaccination requirements, there was a little bit of a hold on them during COVID because a lot of clinics were prioritizing as far as who, visits and things like that. But yes, the vaccines are required per regular school rules. It's actually state rules. But the health clinic, there's two options in town. There's the health unit that offers them. Now that's only for people that are uninsured. So if you have insurance, they cannot provide that to you. It's just how the state allocates vaccines. And then Cogdell has vaccinations available as well. So those are two options. I hope I answered your question about that. And for incoming 7th graders, there is an important vaccine, and it's completely slipped my mind right now, but you are required to get that coming into 7th grade. Are you required to have the COVID vaccine? No, that is not a requirement.
Yes, but there is definitely a new one that hits them in 7th grade, and so they've got to get that one before they come in. And so you'll either be getting letters very soon, or the nurses will be contacting you at the beginning of the year to say, hey, I need your child to go get this one. So,
and there is a way, just so you know, and I've posted about it in the past. It's on our health and wellness page on the website. If you want to go and look at what vaccines we have on file for your child, you're able to go and look at that. So you just, on Skyward, there's a section that you can look at it. And I walk you through it on our website, on Snyder ISD, on our nurses page, and show you how to do that step by step. If you're curious, you can look at that. But I have sent out a parent square about that vaccination, and I promise we'll send it to you again. It's been in the paper as well, because it is an important one for them to get. What other questions do y'all have? I appreciate all of these. Am I missing any in the chat?
Valerie, I don't see any in the chat, but I think the other thing we probably need to go ahead and touch on, we touched in our last Zoom, was the dress code.
Yes.
Several people
save the best for last.
Yeah, I know several people are, the standardized dress. Is junior high still doing it? I know that it is not one of the most excitable things in the world. So we did ask for Valerie to send out a dress code survey. She sent it out to the entire school district, all teachers, all parents, all students. Got a great response. A lot of people responded to that, which we do appreciate, because we want to hear your voice so that we can make adjustments appropriately. So what we have done with that information is we formed a dress code committee over here at the junior high. We'll be moving away from the standardized dress and moving more toward a dress requirements that are within line of a connection between intermediate and the high school, so that you will see, yes, there's still going to be a dress code, but it's going to not be the standardized dress. It's going to be more aligned to what you see at intermediate and into the high school. That we are hoping to have out to you in the middle of May so that you can start shopping appropriately.
That's right. And we did. I appreciate everybody's feedback on that survey. It certainly helped give us a great picture. And we even had a lot of primary school students respond as well, which I loved, letting them have an opportunity to share their voice and opinion as well. So, okay, any other questions? If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free, or if you want to put it in the chat, give you a few more minutes to think of something. And while you're thinking, I just want to let you know that this will be recorded and I will post it in Parent Square as well. The link to the recording, it should be out this evening. And so if you know somebody that missed this call, please encourage them to go look at Parent Square and watch the video, so that, you know, they can have their questions answered. Of course, if we didn't answer one of your questions and you didn't want to ask it on here, or you think of something afterwards, please reach out to the school. You can call the junior high anytime that they're in school. If you think of something in the middle of the night, send me an email. I check the questions@snyderisd.net email, and you can send that to me. And if I can't answer your question, I'll get you to the person that can. I may not answer it in the middle of the night when you send it, but sometimes that's when I do my best thinking, and I want to be able to ask my question then. So feel free to do that. There's anything else, Mr. Rush, Coach, Ms. Faulkenberry, that you all have?
No.
Nope, I'm good.
Nope, it's going to be a great day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And like I said, if you have any questions, reach out. Thanks.